Cottagecore fell off. Listen, of course all trends die eventually, but cottagecore was more of a lifestyle. In fact, it was almost a movement. So where did it go? What happened to it? Did it just fade away, or did something replace it? And does a bear shit in the woods? Because I would like to. Oh, that's gonna be my worst intro of all time. This video is kind of an experiment. This is a topic I've been thinking about for a really long time, and I've also been thinking about this project for a really long time. So join me on this retrospective on cottagecore while I create perhaps the world's final cottagecore craft project. DIY mushroom shelves made out of fungus. No, DIY mushroom shelves made out of duct tape and cardboard. Everything I make on this channel is duct tape and cardboard. What's up with that? I found supplies for a craft project I planned to do 3 years ago.
I got these corner shelves for my bathroom. I'm gonna turn them into mushrooms.
Let me just show you. Let's hope it's normal in here. There we go. I've got a tiny little bathroom. And I always wondered, why don't I turn this tiny little room into a woodland wonderland? Oh, how good would that be? How good? This is 3 years late. No one likes mushrooms anymore. Mushrooms are not cool or trendy or quirky, but fuck it, I love a fungus. I think there are about 3 or 4 main reasons why cottagecore isn't popular anymore, and I kind of already mentioned the first reason, which is just the inevitability that all trends must die. But cottagecore wasn't the same as Office Siren or Mob Boss Wife, which were visual aesthetics and fashion based off of like a character archetype. Cottagecore wasn't just fashion. Maybe it was closer to goth, but even then goth is like musical and fashion and some hobbies to a certain extent. I'm using this bread tin for the paper mache. I think I'm giving birth to an alien. I just can't make cozy crafting. It's always cursed. Look at this shit. Okay, I was yapping about some other stuff in this part, but just pretend it was me explaining that the reason why I paper mache'd these plastic corner shelves was so that the clay would have a surface to adhere to other than smooth plastic, which clay doesn't really tend to like. It was a massive waste of time though. I could have just glued cardboard on top and then either mache'd over that or skipped all of that altogether. I think I did entirely too many steps because I didn't have a plan. And then I'm just gonna kind of make it up as I go. Let's do a quick definition. I think the term cottagecore, I believe, emerged in about 2018. I think the first mention of the word cottagecore was a TikTok by, I think, an Australian girl. She was a lesbian, which will become important later. So from the very beginning, it was this feminine but subversive idea of connecting with nature, bucolic lifestyles, pastoralism, slow, sustainable, natural living. It was like a reactive force against the economic pressures that if you were sentient in 2018, you'll remember the gig economy. You'll remember hustle culture, side hustle culture. You'll remember getting that bag. I mean, people still say that to this day. But anyway, it was a way for people to romanticize slowing down, using their hands, trading in shortcuts for the scenic route. It took visuals from fairy tales, sure, and it was pretty nostalgic in some ways, but it wasn't just escapism, it was also aspirational. It was a lifestyle goal to work towards. It wasn't just wearing a pretty dress. To live in a small town where you trade some extra eggs your chickens have laid for a bucket of milk. Do people give buckets out? And then COVID hit. The single greatest mass migration of normies onto the internet world. They hated it here. Everyone was daydreaming about cutting themselves off from the rest of society. They didn't want to think about supply chains or fiber optic cables. Nobody wanted to worry about the Suez Canal. People wanted to be free. And cottagecore was a perfect vehicle for that. But now we don't need the escapist fantasy of cottagecore. For the most part, I mean, can I be honest with you guys? I don't even know what's trendy anymore. I finished the video and then decided to look at Google Trends and was like, February 2026, there's a spike in interest in cottagecore. I'm washed! But it turns out it was a dress to impress theme. I'm so washed that I don't know what the kids are doing on Roblox. But they're Googling what cottagecore is because I don't know what it means. hypothesis proven. So now that we've got the most unsettling pizza slice ever, we're gonna add some clay, and then we're gonna wait for that to dry, and then we're gonna paint them. All right, I am covered in gunk, and I have to continue to be that way. Shit, okay. At this point, I'm chopping cardboard haphazardly, like some kind of languid cardboard butcher. You may notice I'm slightly distracted by the video I'm watching. Okay, listen, I was going through a Spencer Agnew phase. I'm better now, I'm fine. I'm slapping cardboard shapes onto our shelf to create platforms upon which I will sculpt the mushroom shape. You've got to trust me on this. I don't know if I can trust myself just yet, but you gotta trust me on this, okay? I didn't look at any pictures of mushrooms while I was doing this. I just recalled images of them from my mind palace. This is not an effective way of making art. However, you'll see I have unshakable belief in myself, and I think that's beautiful. Okay, so you know how I mentioned lesbians earlier? We don't talk about it that much, but cottagecore was super gay at the start. Like, there was the butch, tough farm girl vibe, and then there was like the femme, but still like self-sufficient vibe. And as it gained popularity, there were a lot of people saying, we need to keep cottagecore queer. You know, the imagined cottagecore life is very off the grid and isolated. And that feels idyllic for people who are in homophobic living situations or are worried about the laws in their countries. People who aren't safe to be themselves can imagine a small community where they cultivate their own perfect life free from outside scrutiny or discrimination. But as it gained popularity, cottagecore was picked up by straight girls too. And some of those straight girls were trapped! Homesteading and self-sufficiency is very popular within far-right and deeply religious communities who distrust the government for slightly different reasons to their gay cottagecore compatriots. And as those women embraced cottagecore, they turned the milk a little sour and a little unpasteurized. And I think for a lot of queer women, it was kind of distasteful. I mean, it went from being like, we can live without men, we can do all of this stuff ourselves, into being like, I mean, think of Nara Smith. Her videos were almost parodies of cottagecore, wearing these outrageous outfits and cooking these outrageous meals from scratch in a very calming, cozy demeanor. I don't know how to do her voice. I always end up doing like the bee lady's voice. And it was another great day of saving the bees. I can't do it. Okay, I'm currently editing and I get distracted by trying to do impressions, but my point was that it got co-opted from being a way of building a queer lifestyle into building a very traditional housewife lifestyle that continues to trap women. It forced them to continue to be the cooks, the cleaners, the child rearers, and nothing outside of that. Whereas cottagecore was like about self-sufficiency and being strong and capable of doing things yourself in a slower, anti-capitalist way. I just wanted to specify that a little better because I do get distracted by doing voices. This whole video so far has just been the foundation, the skeleton, okay? It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. They're gonna look good. They're gonna look good. You'll see at the end of this video whether the confidence I have is warranted. By the way, as I said earlier, this video is kind of experimental and I'd like to know what you think of it. If you're enjoying it, please let me know. And if you hate it, also let me know. I'd like to know that too. I have a plane to catch in 2 hours, so I probably shouldn't be doing this, but I'm gonna be away for a while and I kind of want to get on with it. You can see here I started to use regular air dry clay, but I don't know, the vibes were crazy with this stuff. Just every video I make so gross. Ugh. So I chucked it away and I switched it for the super soft, super lightweight clay. I think it's supposed to be for making dolls, but I don't really want to be haunted, so I use it for whatever. Whew. Not sure what I was looking for there olfactorily. I spread a thin layer of this stuff over the cardboard and then filled out the underbelly area. I then carved into that fat chunk of clay to make the gills, using a little bit of water on a silicone tip to dig into the clay. I then spent a desperate hour or so trying to smooth out the top here. Okay, okay, wait. You know the little white splotch stitches that like fly agarics have. I just feel like I could create them if I just added little like that. Does that look good or really, really bad? I'm gonna do it anyway. Then I'm sorry, I don't have time to change the camera angle. This is how on the edge we are. Does that look relatively even? I think so. Okay, I'm done. I'm stopping. I'm stopping. I'm stopping. I'm done. I'm done. I gotta finish packing. I gotta get on a train. No, I gotta get on a bus, and then I gotta get on a plane, and then I gotta get on a train, and then I gotta get on a bullet train, and then I gotta get in a car, and then I gotta go do some I don't, whatever. As the Chinese
Got the alien music on.
I'm back. So it's been a few days and my boy is dry now. However, something happened in the drying process. I don't know if you can see, but it's kind of come up on the sides. As the clay dried, it attached itself to the paper and shrank up and sort of lifted. I gotta stop doing that. It's not particularly long lasting. I don't feel as if this is gonna be a family heirloom I can hand down to my children. Am I gonna do the other one differently? No. Generally, cottagecore as a trend is blanketed. Sorry, cottagecore as the movement was blanketed with cozy vibes. But here's the thing, we don't want to be cozy anymore. There was one summer we just wanted to do coke. And recently, the whole cozy games influencer industry has collapsed. Cozy games as a genre targeted towards women who are just getting into gaming for the first time. I can't get into this. I have a lot to say about cozy gaming too, I think. I mean, Stardew Valley is still massive, so even though the influencer thing has collapsed, you know, Pokopia. Clearly we all like pretending to build a community, tend to a garden, turn our world into our own village and our own vision. But do we actually want to do all of the hard work and doing that in real life? It took me 3 years to get around to these mushrooms. You think I'm building a barn every season? Get real. The lifestyle was displayed in a way that made it fantastical. It was an escape from reality, but of course, reality eventually comes knocking. I actually have kind of conflicting views on escapism in general. As a reformed, maladaptive daydreamer, when I was a kid, I almost convinced myself that Zuko was real. He was just in a different dimension. Obviously, he was my boyfriend. But I'm sure like a little make-believe is fine. Editing Scout here again. I've been caught in the crossfires of a new internet celebrity crush and it's been genuinely ruining my life. So I am not a reformed maladaptive daydreamer. I'm making up reasons why I'm invited onto their podcast. It's not good. Finally, it's time to paint the mushrooms. This was the part that I was the most excited about. The first one, I'm doing a classical toadstool. I started with lots of dark brown paint in the crevices and cracks to accentuate them, and then dry brushed over the gills with beige. I tried painting the dots on top various shades of pale, but I hated how that looked, so I just went over it all with white. The landlord special. Since these are organic, I generally try to add like lots of variations with the colors, but sometimes I went a bit too far, so I had to kind of dial back on it. By the way, I'm just using acrylic paint here, nothing fancy, kind of cheap stuff. From about 2021 onwards, I'd say the cultural pendulum kind of swung away from sustainability and kindness and empathy and mental health and self-care, kind of swung towards crime is legalism. But also there was a bit of kind of purity culture and moralism attached to cottagecore. Fairly or unfairly, I'm not really sure, but any content that's aspirational to people who don't meet that goal can feel like judgmental or an attack on their own culture. If you're a messy bitch like me, you might feel attacked when you see a perfectly curated clean kitchen, when you know, do some baking and you leave your dishes for about a week. You know, we are not the same. We are not the same. And it can feel yeah, you can feel attacked by that. To be clear, it is kind of totally projection, but it still affects the kind of content that content creators are interested in making or that is successful for them to create. I don't have any data to back this up, but I think it's interesting to think about how audience interests versus creator interests, this kind of push and pull about like what's popular and what people are interested in making. Like what's the beauty influencer who makes really like high-end, like quote unquote aspirational content, had like a total falling off because people just aren't interested in opulent displays of wealth like they were 10 years ago. But I think it's also true that people aren't interested in a curated lifestyle like they were 10 or even 5 years ago. 2020 was 6 years ago. I feel normal about that. Once again back, what I was trying to talk about was Jacqueline Hill, who recently was like, I don't understand why my videos are down. I'm making all of these hauls, I'm making all of this really interesting content, but no one's watching it. And everyone in the response was like, we're all struggling economically and financially, and having you throw your expensive, affluent lifestyle in our face feels upsetting and it's not fun to watch. And I think what I was trying to talk about was the cultural shift of what we want to watch and who is being rewarded by those views. Of course, like, creators make the content, but if you make content that nobody wants to watch, then you're not going to get the views, you're not going to get the success, you're not going to be able to make it your full-time job. If you're making stuff that people want to watch, then you're rewarded by that. And I think a lot of people making aspirational content are no longer being rewarded. Now, this second mushroom proved a lot tougher to paint. I didn't have a clear vision for it other than magical purple matches my stained glass window, ? And you can see it looked like, as my South African math teacher used to say about my homework, an absolute dog's breakfast. I had to stop filming myself painting this because it was too shameful. I couldn't let you guys see it. But don't worry, we saved it. We brought it back from the brink. I think it turned out pretty good. So finally, with everything finished, I sealed it with some spray varnish that I found in a box in my house. You know, you can chalk it up to a simple aesthetic shift from the countryside to the big city. But I think the lifestyle that cottagecore symbolized was kind of rejected, I guess. People who tried it found it far more difficult than expected or could never afford to live that way and gave up on trying to achieve this very specific lifestyle. Or maybe it turned into something that no longer represented them, and thus slowly the fantasy faded. I think that aspirational content is a lot less popular, partly because of cynicism and partly because of nihilism. The cynics and the skeptics will point out, this isn't a real lifestyle, you're just doing this because it looks nice within a 1-minute video window, but it's not an actually truly sustainable lifestyle. On the other hand, I think a lot of people are also really nihilistic and they have just kind of, maybe we've given up on things a little bit. I don't like to say that, especially at the end of a video, because it feels in itself nihilistic. And I don't think that's true. I think we're just collectively going through a lot right now. But it'll come back up. Listen, bye at the dip. Bye at the dip. And you know, hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe cottagecore is still massive. I might just be super uncool. I don't know, uncool or not. I still have these sick as fuck mushroom shelves. I'll check in from editing Scout. Don't look at my background. Before we get into my reveal, which is bad, I can never do good reveals, I just want to apologize for the lighting, the sound, the audio, the fact that the colors keep pulsing in between warm and cool tones, and I am sorry. Maybe the worst possible filming location you could conjure up is this bathroom, and that's where I chose to end the video. And I'm gonna make you guys look at it and listen to it. I'm gonna make you do it. Okay, bye. It's just nice to get back into the swing of things. In terms of this guy, I love this guy. Unfortunately, I can see the underneath from my seating place here. which maybe I'll cover up with some paper or something, but honestly it doesn't really bother me that much. Purple one. Kinda a little bit hate it. If I had actually looked at reference photos before I started making the mushrooms, I would have known to make each mushroom more distinct and different looking, and it would have made it a lot easier to paint them. I really struggled with knowing when one mushroom starts and the other one ends. Even without the stripes, it just kind of looked a bit funny. Like, it didn't really make sense just intuitively when you look at it, and that's always what happens to me when I don't use a reference image. At the end of the day, I am pretty happy with it. And I'm looking forward to the next one. Cheers to that. I'm currently drinking sleepy time tea. Yeah, I don't need this. It's not on. It just feels good to hold something. This just occurred to me right now. Are these even cottagecore? If you watched and enjoyed this whole video, I think you might like my alien creating video. I made him. Ah, shit. I'm getting haunted. Ah!